I am here using Microsoft Word 2016. There are instances wherein it might be useful within a Word document to have a dotted line or a leading line, as we have here. In the first example, we have a restaurant menu with dishes and their corresponding prices. In the second example, there is a table of contents for a book of fables that has each fable along with its corresponding page. Many people would accomplish this by doing as I have done here. I've highlighted one row in red where I have just added dots or deleted them to achieve the desired alignment of item and price, or chapter, title, and page. The downside of achieving this effect in this way is that if the length of a word changes, for example, let's say vegetable lasagna becomes lasagna, or the town mouse and the country mouse, the fable title, becomes just the town mouse, or the tortoise and the hare becomes the tortoise and the hare and the spider woman. The change in length of anything on this created line would mean needing to go in manually and correspondingly delete or add dots to maintain the same previous alignment. A second downside in manually adding dots in this way lies in how screen readers process this information. People with low vision or no vision sometimes require the assistance of a screen reader to read out the visual information that is in front of them. These screen readers rely heavily on programmatically determined information that is in the background of a document, and would read a line like this made out of periods as period, 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 dot, 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 or sometimes not read it at all because a screen reader might be programmed to not read periods and just take a breath at them, which is traditionally what is done when there is a period in written text. So this would confuse a reader using a screen reader. Maybe a screen reader is not applicable to a restaurant menu, as in this particular case, but it could be applicable to a table of contents. It could be applicable to a research paper that has sections delineated in this way. And so it's important to know that Microsoft Word actually has a better, more programmatic way of creating the same effect of a dotted tracking or leading line. To start off, you would list your items as you would in any case. So let's say you had a book of fables and you had the Spider Woman. That's a book by Puig, but we'll use it. You had the hare and the tortoise. And you had the elves and the shoemaker, for example. So once you have your items, you can go ahead to paragraph. It is in your Home tab. And a window will pop up. And at the bottom left of the window will be a button that says Tabs. Go ahead and click that. And you will be moved to another window. And it will ask you your tab stop position up here. Essentially, that is asking you where you want the text to start at the end of your dotted line, whether that's a price or a page number. And this ruler that automatically shows up in your document can give you sort of estimate of where that is. So let's say, often it's recommended to say 6 inches. So in this case, because these titles are long, I'll say 7 inches. And in this particular case, you'd want to right align those page numbers or those prices. And the leader that you would like, you have the option of no leader, which is just a gap will appear, Or here, a dotted leader is the second option. There's also a dashed leader and a solid line. So once you've made your selection, hit set. It will set your 7 inches in your tab stop position, and then you can go ahead and hit OK. So now, if you go to the end of Kiss of the Spider Woman and hit tab, you have your dots. And you can say, well, that starts on page 12. The Hare and the Tortoise, well, tab, that starts on page 17. Kiss of the Spider Woman is much longer than 5 pages, but in the interest of example, we will pretend. The Elves and the Shoemaker, tab, that starts on page 34, for example. And as you can see here, if I were to change any of this information, let's say the Kiss of the Spider Woman, I add the title, Manuel Puig. Or the Hare and the Tortoise, I add abridged. And to the Elves and the Shoemaker, I add in translation. The nice thing about this formatting is my dotted line correspondingly changed length as needed, so I did not need to go in and manually add any dots. And as you can see here, we're a screen reader reading this. You go from G in Puig to using the arrow key and jumping immediately to the beginning of the number. Or for example, let's say I was at the D in abridged. I will highlight it in green and make it larger for those who can't see it very well. The D in abridged, to press the arrow key and you immediately get to the 1 in 17. And what that means for a screen reader is that it will know programmatically that this thing is a dotted line or a leading line and will read it as such instead of tracking and reading each character. The nice thing here too is that additions can always be made, and the other tab features that you might want to use would also work the same. So for example, let's say under Kiss of the Spider Woman, I want to add a section about Puig's biography. I will type it and then hit tab. My dotted line will appear, and that begins on page 14, let's say. Or let's say I want to add something about the original Spanish version. I will type it, just another entry, hit tab, the dots will appear, and let's say that's on page 16. And I can go ahead and add additions at the same level, or even decrease some indentations while keeping other indentations at a different degree. And because this dotted line is programmatically determined this time instead of a manual collection of periods or dots, the document itself adjusts. It makes it easier for people who are using assistive technology, makes it easier for people who are making long tables of contents that might retroactively have changes, and is a little trick within Microsoft Word that would be helpful to know. So good luck, and let me know if you have any questions. Take care.